Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to FFC. I'm Maureen.
I'm Amanda.
and I'm Jeanette.
And we are back with another One Tree Hill episode for you. Now, I know that we've been promising you that you were going to get 7 and 8 this week. However, I did not plan enough time for watching 2 seasons in 1 week. So we are only doing season 7 tonight, and we are reserving season 8 and season 9 plus the full review for our first One Tree Hill episode in January, which will be the new year. So happy new year to you. You get the final review then. Also coming up for you next week, we will be doing a review of Amazon Prime's The Other Zoe, which was, I'm not going to tell you how it was. You have to tune into the review to tell you how it was. I don't know why I was just going to do that, but tune in for that. You'll get our final One Tree Hill review. Also going to be reviewing The Bear and Suits, and hopefully we will have some premieres of our shows back by mid-January, beginning February. I think we have some premiere dates, but I don't think we have all of them. I don't think we have half of them. We have 3 or 4 of them premiere dates. No. But I know the Chicago shows have started filming. I don't think The Bear has started filming yet. So there's a lot up in the air. So we still don't have premiere dates. But if we don't have premieres to discuss, we will continue to go over stuff. We know that The Way Home is one that we're going to be bringing up with you. And there is, what is this new one you guys have that you are excited about?
My Life with the Walter Boys.
My Life with the Walter Boys. And that is Netflix, good. Right?
Mm-hmm. And we also need to do Sullivan's Crossing.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sullivan's Crossing is another. Guys, we have really done our jobs. We have really filled the gap with these shows being absent, which has maybe given you a little insight to how we watch TV in general. Now we just have 45 new shows that we have to add to the already returning roster of shows that we have. So we might have dug ourselves into a little bit of a hole here, but those are coming your way. Stay tuned for those. If you have not caught up on what we have been giving you, we go back. We've given you some holiday streaming movies last week, which was Christmas Eve. And we've given you some other One Tree Hill reviews. We reviewed You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. That is so hard for me to say. And Old Dads. So go back through from September to now. We've done a lot of streaming shows that you can still fill your gap while you're waiting for our shows to come on. So we're going to dig right into season 7 today. We're only discussing season 7 of One Tree Hill. This was maybe the most I've been invested in a season so far is season 7. I think that's justifiable to say. Yeah. We meet some new characters. You don't like season 7, Amanda? What was that look you just gave?
No, I didn't finish watching. Jeanette, where
I bet you have no idea what happens.
Yeah. Where does if 7 end?
It ends with another. Okay, I don't know if this was just the style for 2000s, but they end all these, like season 6, season 7, and season 5 all ended as if it could be the final of the series.
No, not this one, because it ended with
besides that shot that was heard around the world, it all seemed like every other storyline was tidied up. That was the only cliffhanger was Katie shot Clay and Quinn.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like by far,
was the Utah trip. Yeah, the Utah trip to Julian's movie premiere was the last episode.
Okay, that's all I need. I actually did this whole week watch 14, 15 episodes, which I didn't expect I was going to do that good, to be honest.
I didn't think I was going to get through all 22, but I did.
I was worried about you, Maureen, when I was like, oh, she is just there. Are we going to be there?
It was 12:48 this morning when I was like, oh, I did it.
Just in time.
And we ended on a run.
Well, it's good because now I really get how, like with Nanny Carey, I really get the scariness, but it takes a while to get there. I mean, I saw she was crazy fairly early on, but it's the scary that I didn't get until
I believe the cliffhanger for this season was probably one of my craziest.
You watched it live.
I watched it live. So I legit for a whole summer did not know if Clay and Quinn were going to live or not.
I mean, this might be mean, but at least it wasn't one of our long-term regulars.
But I feel no, I think it was worse because had it been one of our long-term regulars, I think I would have been like, well, obviously they're not dead.
I don't know. Lucas left the show.
I didn't know. I was like, we could really lose one or both of these. And I'm not even telling you, I don't know if Maureen actually knows or not. But I was worried. And
I do know they
Mhm.
survive.
okay, cool. Well, I was gonna say I don't want to tell you, but like I actually thought, I remember thinking like I bet Clay dies. I bet Clay dies.
I'm
Because
gonna
I was
be
like, we're not
so
gonna
mad
kill
if there's
Haley's
more death
sister.
in this show. And the reason I know they survive is because you guys warned me that there was pretty much no more deaths
Oh
after.
no, I didn't say that.
Oh, that's in my head of what you said.
That's not what I said.
Great.
I said there was one more, and it's the worst one for me.
This year, right? The season 7.
Season
No.
it's in season
Ugh.
9.
9.
It's
Yes.
worse than Haley's mom dying?
Yep.
Great. That's fantastic.
Oh. Okay.
Yep.
I was like, who dies in season 9? Okay.
Maybe not the worst. I don't know. It's the one that made me
I think
cry
it's the
hardest.
worst. Hey, Lydia was really hard.
Mhm.
Lydia was a hard one for me. What? Why are you
Lydia's
looking
the
like
second
that?
hardest for me.
Who's
Haley's mom.
Lydia? Oh,
Haley's mom.
I forgot that was her name.
And it really, I mean, I don't know why that one was hard for me because
I know
it's
why
not
it
like
was
she
hard
was
for me.
around a lot, but it
I
was
can
just
tell
like
you why.
the way, I think.
It's the way it happened, and it's surprisingly, like I told Maureen this, her interaction with Taylor is the part that hits me the worst. When Taylor walks in that room and she's talking about, she's like, no one likes Taylor. And as a mother, I'm like, and then she's like, oh, I do, because I mean, like, as a mother, you're speaking, like, I don't care how terrible, like, that's your baby. And like, she loves Taylor. And so, I don't know, Taylor's journey is hard, and like, no one really does like Taylor. So to see her
No.
feel that way, I don't know, it broke me for some reason. Like, I remember that just really choking me up.
For me,
Yeah,
it was
it
when
was a hard
Taylor
one.
walked in there and said, and she was, I'm getting emotional, but she was crying and she said, I'm sorry, it was such a disappointment. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, your mom's about to die. She's on her deathbed. And that's, and also when Quinn dropped off that picture and she
Mhm.
screamed to the door that was closed, I don't want it. Like, oh my gosh, that actress does a very good job.
Yep. I think Taylor makes it, she's another one. That's one thing One Tree Hill does well. I think you have your villains who make it very hard for them to be just villains.
I don't think Taylor was ever a villain, though. I think that she was always insecure and had no confidence or faith in herself in any capacity.
I think she's a similar character to, say, like Rachel, who is villainous, I think. But even both of those actresses make it hard for you not to want to root for them.
Even like Chris Keller, same.
You want them to find their way. Like, it's not like or at least for me, I don't want to just write them off as, okay, you're a terrible person. Like, I'm rooting for you. Please find your way. Please figure this out, because I want to root for you.
See, with Taylor, I never wanted to root for Taylor. I just wanted Taylor to go away.
I think I did once.
I never had that.
Until the episode where she found out her mom was dying. Then I was like, okay.
I felt for her then, but I still wanted her to go. Like, felt for her, but I didn't want her to stick around.
No, I'm not saying I wanted her to stick around, but I wanted her to find peace. Like, I wanted to not have to hate her.
Yeah.
And I felt that too, even back in the other episodes, where the one episode where Nathan goes to visit her at her Coyote Ugly place.
See, I thought that was nice.
Like, I wanted her to turn around at that point. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the actress. I think I wanted to root for her.
Well, this was actually the first season. Okay, so let's get into some of the new characters we meet, because we're gonna discuss some of the new characters that are involved with Taylor.
Yes.
We're not gonna start with Taylor and her fella, but we're gonna start with Miranda, who, okay, I didn't feel one way or the other about this character, except why did they make, I don't even know if I'm gonna keep this in here because it's mean. Why did they make her hair so big on such a tiny head? Because her face, Miranda, her face looked so small.
Oh,
and her hair was so big that when she turned to the side, I'm like, how is that on top of her body right now? How does it fit?
Yeah.
That was a weird choice for her hair. So I just need to say that to somebody out loud, because every time I look, I'm like, oh, your hair, that can't be your real head. It can't be.
Miranda's not a character that I want anything to do with. I mean, she means absolutely nothing to me.
Grubbs didn't either, which is the other guy that we meet.
Nope.
And actually, he is do you know why they put him in the show?
No.
Because he is the front man for a band, Wakey Wakey, and they actually have a lot of their music in the show. So they got him in there. That's why I think his voice is beautiful as a musician.
When he plays that piano and has that like solo, I replay that every time, because it's just
Mhm.
it like comes from deep. Like you can just
Yes.
tell.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
And it's beautiful. His playing is
Yes.
beautiful. The sound of his voice. So all his character made me want to do is go find his real band's music.
Mhm.
But in terms of a
Mhm.
character, I don't think him and I get that Miranda furthered along the storyline, but they made his character super desperate and weird. And
Yeah.
it just like I
Yeah.
could have like the way he forced himself. He brought his bags to the studio. Like, I'm going with you. She said no a couple different times, my guy.
Yeah.
Like it just
And you guys just met.
exactly.
He was entertaining as the bartender. I think
I
could've
loved
him
just
just
had
being the
that's when I liked
bartender.
him.
there.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. Because I mean, he
But
was
as a love
funny.
interest
It did. There was no chemistry.
at all.
No.
Like none.
It felt
So,
forced.
it was really weird. I
The-
don't know.
The one thing I liked about Miranda was her accent,
Yes.
which is more the actress, I assume, than, than
Yeah.
character.
I mean, there were a couple nice moments. I mean, like Miranda when she kind of stood up for Haley with that interview during the whole
Yes.
Renee scandal. Like there were moments when like I was like, okay, that was cool, but I
But
still
Haley could have
couldn't-
handled that herself too.
Yeah, I really didn't.
Miranda was
need-
unnecessary.
She was an unnecessary character for sure.
She was unnecessary, but I don't know why they ever brought her in. It never did
No.
make sense to me. But
Because they could have done this any other way. They could have brought John back to say, hey, I'm going to close down the label. They didn't need to add a whole new character to do this to fight for, because Haley was already trying to run the label. She was already trying to do new music. We didn't need Miranda in there to further that line at all.
Nope.
no,
And we didn't need
And
Grubbs in there at all either, except for discovered new talent. Sure, but why make him?
Somebody to like play in the background of the montages. Like, I mean, this
Mhm.
is really all it was.
That's
and
exactly it.
the girls
Phenomenal
like on the
musician.
podcast, they're very vocal about like whenever they did add new characters in. That's why you don't see some of the other characters. That's why
Mhm.
you won't see like Dan in a lot of episodes when like
That kind of upset me.
you know other people are in there because they had a budget and they couldn't put
Yep.
Deb,
Yep.
Dan, Rachel, Miranda, Grubb. They couldn't put all these people in
Mhm.
one episode because it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, stop putting unnecessary characters in
Yes.
and put in the characters that we actually have already been
100%.
invested in.
That we actually
Agreed.
care
Like,
about.
it never made sense to me.
I agree.
Dan
And
did not become a regular character until like late season 5.
really. And I'm kind of mad that we didn't get more of him
True.
in season 7.
Yep.
We barely got anything of him in season 7.
Because
I mean,
we had so many extras.
yeah, and I get that we had like the show, but when he left, that is that the end of him? Do we see Paul Johansson again?
We see him again. Yeah.
Okay, like
He stays until
semi
season 9.
regularly.
In and out.
Okay,
Do we
Anyhow.
see him much in season 8? I know he comes
I was
back in
gonna say
season
I
9.
think only a couple of times in season 8.
and I think his story is the biggest furtherance and the biggest intrigue to that this show has. If I'm being
I know.
honest,
Yep.
that
I
was a
agree.
mistake.
one of my favorite parts in season 7 is him and Clay in the ocean.
Really?
I laughed so. Actually, I think I started recording because I was doing a voice recording and I was just responding to like, "Oh no, he has him around the neck. What is he doing?"
Mhm.
That was a live, authentic reaction to what was
Mhm.
happening.
And then Quinn and his talk afterwards. Like
Oh, you wearing a suit? Yeah, I don't feel like being drowned again today.
that was just such a great little bit. I don't know what it even was.
What I
It was
loved
funny.
about that scene was Dan was truly trying to help Clay. He
Yep.
just
I know.
his head just doesn't work the way normal people's heads work.
But I think it worked.
It did.
I mean,
It did
It
work.
was very unconventional, but I think it did help Clay. Like,
I think I even said it like, obviously what he did isn't okay, but what he said at the end made a lot of sense.
yeah.
I know Dan's walking away. I'm like, aw.
That's
I'm
exactly
like,
what I did. He
wrong
was
reaction,
smiling and
Amanda.
everything. No, it was not. That was the right reaction. Because he didn't actually drown him. He wasn't.
He didn't
He was
actually drown him,
baptizing
just
him.
a little bit.
Yeah.
They do it to babies in a church.
He's fine.
He's-
I'm not sure if they hold them
survived.
underwater like that, but that's okay.
Did you know that Jackson did his own stunt when he drowned in the pool in season 5?
I did not know that.
They made that baby upside down
Jamie.
in the pool. Yes.
I don't like that.
He had well, they
Oh,
actually
that's
said he had a
exciting.
blast doing it. I mean, you remember playing dead when you were in a pool when you were little.
You know
right?
what? I could see my Shelby really getting into doing something like that because she loves to float. She loves to pretend like she's dead and like lay in the pool. Like
Yeah, mine did.
she
mine did
likes
too.
it
So did I.
actually. Because
I
I have to tell her to quit because I'm like that makes mommy very nervous. Please don't do that anymore.
I used to do like face down and just
Yeah,
like
she
try
will.
to
She'll
float.
that's what she does. And she'll just put her little arms out.
She
I'm like,
loves to
"Stop it."
pretend she's dead.
Like my
We
kid's
call her
quirky, y'all.
Wednesday.
She's quirky. Okay.
I used to do ghost traps all the time and I always have funerals for my doll. So I kind of get it, but that's wow. Okay.
Shelby has ghost friends. Earlier
Oh.
something fell off the window sill, and I said, "How did that happen?" Like, and she's like, "It might have been my ghost friend." I'm like, "Stop, please!" Like, don't talk.
You're going to go to
here
bed
right
tonight
now.
turning off all the lights and say,
The
"Are you
baby
there?"
sleeps in my room, is what she tells me.
Whoa.
Oh, yikes.
Yes, that's what she tells me. And then she smiles about it. I'm like, stop.
That's the smile might make it worse. Just
Oh, it
throw
does.
that out there.
It
She
does.
knows what she's doing.
She knows exactly what she's doing. Yeah.
It's like
My kid, y'all.
poltergeist.
Oh,
The other newbie that we have is Alexander, who
if
didn't really care for him either. I mean, I get that.
another.
Why couldn't
useless
Victoria
to
just
me.
say that she had somebody? And why did they have to?
No.
Brooke can design a men's line. Why does she need a dude to do a men's line? She doesn't need him.
know.
Like, why? That was a pointless
I
character.
Hated
Even
that.
when they were at Quinn's opening, when Victoria and Alexander were doing things behind the curtain, there could have been a million other things that happened there. Like that storyline, there was no real fire except for Brooke exclaiming, "This was this." No, it was actually my mom. That was it.
Funniest thing though, when that curtain drops,
Victoria.
and Victoria's like, "That's just scandalous." As she's stepping over, like, I think I love that part because Victoria's the best. Here she is trying to straighten herself up.
I
Scandalous.
Now,
do.
are you
love
feeling
Victoria.
how we like? So you
I
like
love
Victoria now.
Victoria.
Thank you.
Stop
Yes.
doubting me when I tell you you're gonna like somebody. Because
That's
you're
what
going to.
I said it before you ever started watching this show. The
Yeah.
characters in One Tree Hill always have the best character development.
Yes.
It is the
People
redemption stories that really I get
You
behind.
gonna- like, I mean, Dan, Nathan,
Mhm.
Victoria.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
So many of them. You're like, I'm never gonna like this
Chris
character.
Keller. Chris Keller is coming.
Chris Keller.
He's
Chris
coming
Keller's
back?
Yes.
You're in season 9. You're gonna be like, I love Chris Keller.
Oh,
I think he's
yes.
hilarious, but I'm not to the love yet. I just think I like when he's on screen on screen because he makes me laugh. Still, my favorite line, the most memorable line to me is right after Nathan punches him in the face, and Chris Keller goes, "Now that's why I don't tell people the truth."
Even Alex, we're gonna talk about her. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one. Alex is probably my second favorite female character on the show. She's behind Brooke for me. I love
is
her.
later.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because once they get to their character development, I can't really separate the two. I'm just like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I love her. So, like, what we're gonna see of her in season 8, I love her.
Yes.
So she's
season 8
another one.
Alex is nice. I like season 8 Alex.
She is an actress that comes on. I mean, she is an actress, but also played by Jenna Kramer.
She plays,
but
an
she
actress.
plays an actress that comes
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and she's super annoying at first, but she is the vehicle for destruction for many of the characters on the show, which is a bummer. And the hardest one is Millie, but that's not even Alex's fault because she gave Millie a leg up. She gave Millie an opportunity, and Millie was the one who was like, I'm going to take this and run with it. And she actually turned on Alex.
Yeah.
Well, I don't blame Millie on Alex, but it just Alex was the vehicle for destruction for a lot of characters on the show.
I would agree with that. But Millie, I don't know. Millie's not my favorite. I mean, I could honestly, we could have never had Millie.
Not
on the
anymore, she's
show.
not.
I would have been okay with that.
I liked her with Mouth though.
I mean, kind of.
I
But
liked-
honestly, Mouth
yeah.
isn't. I'm the weirdo that Mouth is not my favorite either.
I love
like
Mouth.
not post like season 2. Like I could really Mouth is kind of like me to me.
See, I love season 6 Millie, but then after that, it's just
And I think she never fully gets back to like
Oh, she doesn't.
what we love about her.
not what you love about. I mean, she gets better
Because I haven't liked her at all this entire season. I just every time she's on the screen,
I
I'm kind of
know.
annoyed.
I hate what they did to her character because
Mhm.
I mean, whenever she starts modeling stuff, you're just going, "That's not Millie." Like,
Yeah.
it's so out of character
And it's
for
so
Millie.
like I understand that these things can happen. Okay.
Mhm.
But I feel like it happens so drastically.
And so
So
instantaneously was my issue.
Yeah. Like I get probably why she got insecure and she wanted to take the diet
But
pill.
there's a
like,
build up to that.
yes. Not
just
one person
dove
like
all in.
saying that you're like heavy when obviously you're not heavy. I mean,
Hmm.
poor Brooke, that's something that bothers me anyways in the show. They call Brooke fat all the time in the show. Like we notice this, right? Like Brooke gets called fat by Alex, by Rachel, by I'm like, this is Sophia Bush we're talking about, like the most beautiful woman that has ever graced this planet.
She's smaller than Rachel is.
Yeah, she's not. I mean, no, she's not like model thin. I mean, I don't think she ever has been. I think she's curvy.
healthy.
She's curvy, but she is not by any
I don't
means.
even think I would call her
like,
curvy. I think she's thin.
I think they joke about her being a size 4, and I guess in
Which
model terms, that's
Which is
low.
insane because that's
Like-
skinny to me.
Size 4 is plenty
That's
skinny. Yes.
very skinny. Yeah,
I think I was a
Yeah.
size 4 when I was in 3rd grade, 4th grade.
I mean,
See,
Like
I don't know.
14. That was the last time I was a size
really
4.
little. I was a size 0 when I was in high school, but
Oh my gosh.
I was size
was not.
0, probably my 8th grade freshman year.
but I was a size 4 when I met David in college. I mean, like,
See,
I don't know.
I was a
Something
size 9, 10 in high school. And that is like, I loved how I looked then. I was thin in my eyes at a size 9, 10.
That's what
Mhm.
I'd like to be right now. I'm
Well,
not.
yes, that's probably the rose colored glasses
Don't
I'm
we
looking back
all?
at that time with. But
Yeah.
that makes me sad. And I think
Yes.
the other thing about Millie too is that she was celebrated, and maybe that did get to her, that she was celebrated for not being a size 0, but that's what she loved about herself. That's, whatever. But the way it happened, like there has to be a buildup of this. It can't just be one person one time saying, "Oh, you're fat," and then like, "Okay, I'm going to do all the Coke in the world. I'm going to have all the diet pills.
Yeah.
I'm going to do all the things." No, they didn't even show like the
Transition.
temptation behind it. They didn't show any build up to it. So it didn't make sense that she was all of a sudden a cokehead taking
Right.
slamming diet pills. It didn't make any sense.
And we didn't show a transition from, because I'm sorry, taking diet pills and doing cocaine, that's a very
Very
drastic
different
turn.
things.
Okay, that's a step right there.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
didn't even show that step progress. Like, it wasn't like we saw her find the Coke and be like, oh, maybe I should. Like, no, it was just all of a sudden you're doing cocaine. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that took a turn very quickly. That
Yeah.
whole this escalated quickly kind of saying it did. And like, so I think it was just a weird storyline to go down, but I don't know.
Yeah. And she wasn't like, I get the attitude when she was on drugs. I get that attitude aspect of it because drugs does change how you are with people,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't have been overnight.
Yeah, and I feel like you would have seen her, like she would have felt, we would have also seen like when she comes down, the feeling bad for that attitude. Like I
Yeah.
still feel like she would still be Millie underneath all of that once she's come down from her highs and stuff. And we never saw any of that. So it was like, I don't know. I was not a fan of this storyline with her at all.
I agree completely.
I also feel like why did she have a job for so long?
Mhm.
That always boggled my mind. Like they fired Rachel so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Millie, I think, is almost worse. Really, the way she like talks to Brooke and
Yes.
everybody. She should have been fired almost immediately.
I think there were two factors. I think I don't think Rachel was fired that fact because when we jump in with Rachel, we've already progressed 4 years in the future. So we don't know how long she was with the company, but we also know she was at that point doing heroin, which is
Also another step. Yes.
yes, cocaine is not okay and damaging and a whole level of bad. But from a model perspective, it doesn't bring you down. It makes you
Yeah.
peppy. It makes you
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to say that either because it sounds like I'm promoting a drug, but I'm not
No.
promoting a drug. But
No, I
there
mean-
is adverse. Cocaine is an upper, heroin's a downer.
Yes, that's what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. I mean, they have different effects on people.
There's different effects of how they.
And so we don't know
acting.
how long Rachel was there either. And it was Rachel or Brooke saying with Rachel, I want to help her out of this. And I feel like if we keep her a job, we'll keep her safe. And it was the flip with Millie. It was Victoria who was saying, we have to help her. It's our job to
Well,
help her. Like,
Kind of speaking along those lines, something that this time watching that I noticed, it kind of bugged me a little, is that, Brooke is not willing to, which not to say she has to or anything, but not willing to forgive Rachel at all for stealing that money and leaving and all that. But Millie stole a dress that was supposed to be on your new, and like, I feel like that she wasn't that, I mean, she was upset with her, but like, she let her just come back to the company. Like, it was not a thing. There was no, I don't know. I just it felt like a double standard. Like, pick one and go with it then. Like, treat them the same as far as this goes.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. I think the only difference is that with Rachel, Victoria was solidly like with Brooke and no second chances. No one gets redemption.
Yeah.
But Brooke was heavily influenced by her mom, who had a turn of heart, who is almost completely different now, who's
Yeah.
saying, no, you can't. Because she was like, no, I don't want Millie working here. And Victoria said, well, I hired her for me.
Yeah.
And so Brooke was saying,
Victoria.
no. And then Victoria's like, you need to give her a second chance. Don't shut her out.
Yeah.
And I think at least maybe you guys are talking though to further in the future, because in season 7, I think she still hasn't fully given Millie the benefit of the doubt in season 7. I think she
Yeah.
still isn't forgiving of Millie. I mean, she's definitely a lot nicer to her
That's
than she
true.
was to Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also
she's
Rachel was
not.
not repentant. Rachel pretended to be repentant, but she wasn't really.
She wasn't.
Did the Rachel
I
thing
think-
happen 6 or 7? That was
She
6,
stole the money
right?
in 6. In 7, that's when she's the very first
Dan.
episode, she was Dan's wife. And then she
Yeah.
brought
How'd you feel about that?
that was gross and weird. I didn't
It
like
was
it at
weird.
all. No, it was not a good weird. That was just
What-
gross.
I think, and what the storyline to that is, it's because didn't they request that? Because I think, if I'm correct, Danielle was not gonna she refused to be any scenes that didn't have Paul with her
Yes.
Oh, really?
as like a
Because
protection.
Paul was a
Protector.
lot of the girls' protector on set.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the only way she
who
would come
shall
back.
not be named, or as Hillary likes to call him, Voldemort on the podcast.
I appreciate the background knowledge of why the Dan Scott Rachel storyline came out, but it was it was weird. And what I didn't like about it was the flashbacks more than anything. Like it just
How they have
It
how
didn't-
we
even
needed
the-
it though. We needed to
even-
figure out how did this
oh, I
happen?
agree. But it was so heavily unrealistic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep with you. Ooh, we're gonna write a book. Like, how did you make that leap? Like,
Yeah.
how? Dan
Rachel.
Scott is wallowing
I
in
mean-
misery and self-pity and needing all this stuff. He's ready to die. He wants to die. And you looked at this man and thought, self-help book, you'd be great at that. Like it
You
didn't.
know what?
She'll do anything to get
For
money.
me though,
I know, but it was a
checks
weird leap.
out. It checks out for Ruby and Rachel, I think, to make this leap. I don't know. For me, it felt authentic of those two.
Didn't for me.
When the scene first started, and I'm watching with Elena, who had never seen season 7, so this was brand new to her because she got bored and stopped for a little while. Okay. Now she's madly in love with Julian, as she should be, and so she's back on board with everything. I don't know what her problem was the first time. But she goes, not Dan Scott over here trying to be influential. And I was just like, I love your one-liners and the way you said, I'm like, but he kind of is. She was like, really? I'm like, yep.
I think with Dan and Rachel, like there were some funny aspects to it, but it just felt wrong. I don't know. It just, everything about it felt wrong. I didn't enjoy watching it. She
agree.
clearly had no, and part of it, I think, is because Dan had such a turnaround and Dan was authentically, truly trying to help people and he thought he could.
Mhm.
But then, of course, in the flashbacks, we see the transplant. That's not how that would have happened, I don't think. But then
No, I don't-
Rachel did the awful thing of paying a family to, and honestly, that's kind of partly on the family. You couldn't
Mhm.
pay me enough to take my
I mean, the person
kid
was
off a
not.
ventilator.
I mean, but weren't they like brain dead? They
I don't know, but you still couldn't pay me to take him off a ventilator.
I think I'd feel weird taking the money. Like if I took it, I'd have
Yes.
to give it like to like a charity or like
I
something.
personally, I personally would never. It didn't surprise me that Rachel and Dan would do it.
Oh no.
Dan
Or
didn't.
It surprise me that. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Rachel would do that.
For me, like it would have to be the choice would have to be made for, is this best for this person, not because someone is paying me because they want an organ from inside this person. Like I just
Right.
no, that is
No,
awful.
that's weird. No, thank you.
So I think that whole that's what made me sad. I mean, I don't know whose idea it was, because they actually didn't. I know I'm thinking about it. He didn't write a self-help book. He just did the TV show, right?
I think he had a book too, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know,
I
'cause
think
they
he
never
did the
talked
book
about it. It was just the
too.
show.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, because that's what it was in my head that he did a show, but now that I'm thinking about it, I can't think of the book.
Well, didn't he give like a book to that homeless guy though? What book did
Oh,
give?
he did. That's right.
But the show may have came first. Like I don't know which came first, the book or the show. Like you know what I mean? Like
I mean, you'd have to have. It was probably the book came first, because in order to have a TV show, of course, it's One Tree Hill Land, so things don't always
who
work the
knows?
right way.
yeah,
So, I don't know. But
But
he was,
free redemption, right?
yeah.
yeah, Scott Free Redemption. Yeah,
And it makes me sad, his relationship with Nathan, because I mean, you could see all the good that Dan has done, that he has tried to do. It's not, I don't even think it's solely to make people like him again. I don't even think that's why he's doing it. I think he's doing it because
No.
he genuinely realizes, I have been an awful, baseless human being who only looked out for myself and nobody else. And it
Yeah.
has to stop. I need to care more about other people. And I need to, because it's the right thing, not so that it gets me better likes and more money, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So it made me sad to see him rejected at every turn that really mattered to him.
Yeah. I get it though. I still do.
I
mean,
know, I do get it. It just made me sad.
Little Jamie, whenever he whatever he said, when he said, "I forgive you," I was like,
The look on Dan's
what?
face.
That's what he needed to hear. And I was so happy that Jamie was able to say that to him.
Wasn't Jamie coaching Nathan? He's like, it's easy. Just say it. Say, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier for Jamie to forgive him. Jamie did not know Keith. He didn't know, he never had like that version of Dan that we first met. So
it
I
is
understand.
easy for kids, I think, to just forgive things. I mean, they can do it, but there's not all this extra stuff mixed in with it. So
yeah. I mean, Dan's always done good for Jamie. He's taking him out for ice cream, spends time with him, saved him from Nanny Carey. Like he's all had this good. I don't even agree that they like told Jamie so young like what Dan did.
I think they didn't have a choice because Jamie started asking, and I mean, I'm a big
I wouldn't want to
believer.
lie.
I don't lie to my kid. I mean, obviously,
I wouldn't lie either to him, but
there's the whole Santa Claus.
So
I was
young.
gonna say Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy.
But I mean, those are things that
things that matter.
That bring joy to the child, and so I don't know. And even still, once they get to a certain age, I have told myself, if they ask questions, I won't lie anymore. I mean, I don't know. But otherwise, I try to be really straight with them about stuff.
Just to be clear, I'm not shaming anybody who believes in those things. I just found a meme a long time ago that I reference a lot. It's like my parents said that they would never lie to me. I got 3 words for you: Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy.
I mean,
it makes me laugh.
It's so true.
It's true. It's true.
So true. We're over here telling them, no lying. You can't lie. You get grounded for lying, and then we do it all the time, every day.
So I think Dan's storyline probably is the one that makes me the most sad, and I think that he did try a lot of things. And even when he found out that he got the heart from somebody that she paid off, he was devastated by that. He was trying to do the right thing for the only reason. And I think it was a little fair when Nathan was like, if you ever do something selflessly just because it had been, but that's what he's been doing. And I think that it's, again, I don't fault Nathan for it. I just wish that Nathan could see what we as the audience see, because Dan deserves it.
I agree.
That's it.
I do. And I feel like Nathan is more willing to forgive Dan than Lucas.
I think Nathan wants to forgive Dan, but somewhere in his heart he just can't do it yet.
He has too much
lifetime of proof of the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he wants to, though, and I think he recognizes that Dan wasn't just bad for him. I feel like there was even a point where he says, I don't remember where he says it, but I mean, Dan was still his father, and he was still, there were still good moments. So it's probably, I mean, I just can't imagine how that makes you feel. So
yeah. And Dan has only been redemptive for 6 years.
Yes.
Nathan had the toxic, awful version of him for 18 years. I mean, it is a cycle to break. I just wish it would hurry up and break already.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've talked about him a little bit. Quinn and Clay are also new. Quinn she was mentioned before, but we never see her until season 7, correct? Or was I supposed to know her when she came on screen?
I don't think she was ever mentioned.
I don't think so either. We mentioned that Haley had other siblings.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
But I mean, I'm not sure.
By name, no.
The thing is, Haley, I'm pretty sure has brothers too. And why did we never they didn't come for the funeral for Lydia?
Really?
They didn't come.
I thought she just had 2 older sisters.
No, there's 5 of them. Correct, Amanda? I'm not making this up, right? I feel
I thought there was only 3.
At some point, I feel like they say, and I don't know if it's early on, I feel like they say that there's 5 of them, because even Lydia, I don't know. I think there's more of them. But it's we forgot that in this season.
I don't know. Maybe during my next rewatch, I'll try to pay attention.
It just said that she had
Vivian, Taylor, and Quinn are the 3 are Haley's older brothers, alongside Vivian, Taylor, and Quinn. They grew up in the...
Yeah, so that's why I'm I don't understand.
So where are these people?
Yeah.
We're mom's dying and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And they mentioned it. They only say in season 1, I'm pretty sure, that she has all of these things.
That was definitely season 1 that they mentioned.
Because even Lydia mentions that I'm here, I'm making a journey to see my kids. I started with my oldest and I'm ending with my favorite, or something like that. So she's making a point, she's already been visiting these other kids.
Yeah, she's not
And
she's not ignoring them.
and maybe she said her goodbyes with them. You know what I mean? Like maybe they live like off in California. I mean, maybe they're really far. I don't know. Maybe she did her goodbyes then, and it is what it is. I still think it's strange that they didn't come for the funeral. I understand she died pretty quickly. Her health took a turn very quickly, so maybe you wouldn't have had time to arrange that, especially if you've got kids and your own family and things like that. But like, you couldn't get them there for the funeral because that could wait.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird.
See, I always thought it was really weird that like Jamie was so close to Lydia when I'm like, we never see her. So how is I just
But
wish that they would I wanted to see that relationship between Jamie and Lydia,
Mhm.
but at the same time I wanted it to be believable as well.
Yeah.
Well,
It was-
they mentioned Christmas, and what I was thinking too is that I don't think I've ever seen a Christmas episode of One Tree Hill or any
No,
holiday episode. Maybe
no.
Halloween, but other than that, no. My kids see my mother-in-law maybe once a year, and every time they see her, they act the way Jamie did with Grandma Lydia.
Okay.
Do they? See, my
Mhm.
kids were never like that. So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
have
always
that.
Grandma, and they run to her. They only see her like once, maybe twice a year.
I mean, we're
Mm.
super close. Like I see mine, even mine live 2 hours away, and we still see them at least once a month. So I mean,
All
like,
of my family was much, except for my brother. Everyone lives much farther away. She
and
used
I
to live in
mean,
Ohio, so
my kids go to my in-laws every week, every Sunday. So I mean, yeah, we see our.
So I do think that's believable. And there's also that 4-year gap that we don't see anything of, that we are given the impression that's when her husband dies. That's when, so I mean, there's a lot that happens because I was wondering about her husband. I'm glad they said that. 'Cause where the heck is
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
So they had to bring them.
You
But
know, he was a bigger actor, so he was probably a little bit
Mhm.
harder to
Yeah,
get.
Yeah. And I think Quinn, I didn't like, so David is the other one who we see that's new. David is
Mhm.
Quinn's now ex-husband, and Clay is Nathan's agent and Quinn's present love interest. I did not like how she was with David at first. I think it was the things she was saying were like, I get, okay, people, I wouldn't divorce for that, but I get that people divorce when people
It's
are drift
okay.
apart, that
Mhm.
it happens, and it is what it is. That's life. But what she was saying didn't compute with that, and how she's at one point said all the right things of this is why. And I was like, okay, now that makes sense.
Mhm.
But it was only one point when she and Haley were sitting at the piano that she said all this. Everything beyond that and before that was like, what are you, this is so stupid. What are you doing? And you're
And
treating them like
No,
garbage.
not when you got to see like the flashback of like doing like the photo studio and stuff like
Yeah, that's
that.
what I'm
when
saying. That
she's-
happened after the
Yeah,
piano.
that to me is when I finally went, because I was the same as you. I was kind of like, I don't feel like we're getting the whole story here.
But her
Mhm.
actions don't line up with what she's saying either, or what we see even.
I just
Yeah.
wish David got. I mean, I laughed and told Maureen. I said maybe if he wasn't named David, okay, that's my husband's name. So I felt very protective of David, and maybe it's just because of that. I don't actually know, but it just felt so like he seemed so blindsided. Like
Mhm.
so, like I wish if you had just wrote the story a little differently to where like we felt like you all had at least. Because I mean, I feel the same way. Like I get it. Divorce happens. It happens to a lot of people. I I want to see someone like at least putting forth the effort. Like if you choose to get married, I expect you to put
Yes.
everything you have into this marriage.
Yeah.
If it does not work out, then okay. Like I understand that that happens, but they painted the picture like she just woke up one day and was like, I'm not really feeling this anymore. I'm
Yes.
gonna go ahead and just leave, and then my husband's gonna be like, what the hell happened? And I'm gonna tell him I want a divorce. So it was really hard to connect with her character in
Mhm.
my opinion, when she first came on the scene, because I'm like, am I supposed to like you? Because you
Especially when
seem
she was saying, I still
terrible.
love him. I still miss him. I still want to be with him. This is way too hard to be apart. And he's saying, I love you. I want you back. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
why are you separate? You both
Yeah.
want to be together.
Yeah, I don't
It took
understand
too
it.
long to get the
The real
to
answer.
see.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even, I felt even when she was talking, it still didn't, nothing ever computed. I had to see with my own eyes of the flashbacks, and I don't think he ever did anything that was horrible to her or
No.
anything.
No.
But I do think they did a really good job of showing that they did just grow
And
apart.
that
They don't have
happens.
what they had. And
Yeah. And I think that's
you know,
perfectly
you can still
acceptable.
be in love. You can still love somebody, but not be
Yeah.
in love with them anymore. And I think that's what she did. I think she loved David. I think she'll always love David, but
I think for me, if we had just even just had the talk of like, yeah, we saw a therapist, we tried, this just didn't
Mhm.
like just something to show that she made the effort to try to make it work, then I would have, because I love her with Clay. So like I'm fine that
Yeah.
that's where we were going. I just wish
Yeah.
we'd gotten there a little bit better. I don't know. It
And I
seemed
think
like a lazy storyline, in my opinion.
I agree. And even Haley says to her, well, people change. And she was like, I didn't change. You changed from
Well,
the
I mean-
time you met Clay to the time that we're at now at the end. So yes, you
Yeah.
do change. If you don't change, that's a problem. I wouldn't want to be the same person I was when I was 16.
Oh Lord,
You
no.
grow up. You grow.
Yeah.
That's the point of marriage is you grow with someone. That's what a partnership is. You grow with someone. And for her to be, and that was my biggest complaint was she was saying, well, I never changed and he did. But all she was saying is I didn't mature and he did. And so he's not the same man I married and that sort of thing. And that was like, that is not a logical argument to say, I don't want to be with you anymore because you grew up and I didn't. Like she was almost like mad at him about it. And that's what was like, you don't have a right to be mad at someone for growing because that's what you should also be doing.
Yeah.
That's just that's how life is designed. You can't stay the way you were when you were an infant. You grow. That's and the other thing I didn't like was that they almost made it seem like she was mad at him because he wanted money. He didn't want to be broke. And she wanted to stay broke. Like
It's just weird.
I don't
weird.
think she even wanted to stay broke.
She
I
said
think
that to
she
him.
because I feel like that's where she was happiest at with him. She had a bigger connection, and sometimes money does get in the
true.
way of stuff. Like
I'd agree with that.
you know,
that is the
and
number one reason
I get
for
what she was
divorce.
saying. I don't think it was
But then
executed very well.
but
But I
then you
get what
got
she was
with-
saying.
Exactly that.
Well, because
Yeah.
also, and then you got with a man who's a sports agent and rents this giant house on the beach.
Super wealthy.
So and drives like this. I mean, David's favorite thing about Clay, every time we watch, he
That
talks about his
car's so
car.
pretty.
He loves his
Mhm.
car.
I love that car.
So I mean, like, you can't say I want to be poor, and then this is the life you're. That's not adding
And
up.
then
Sweetheart.
exactly. And the other complaint she makes is that, well, we aren't going on location for your documentary. I'm not going on location for my pictures because, you want to stay here. You want to put down roots here. You opened a gallery. Granted, that's at your mom's urging, but you opened a gallery and are now putting roots in one. So it didn't, that's why it made me so upset. None of it was logical because she was contradicting everything that she said. Her actions and words did not line up. And that was what ticked me off. I do like her with Clay now. And I think with Clay, he's a friend of Nathan's and he was also his agent. I think now us as an audience, we can say, no, he shouldn't have been fired because he's doing this and this is happening here. And we can see it all. But from Nathan's point of view, he should have been fired not as his friend, but as his agent, because as his agent, he messed up and he wasn't giving Nathan all the information on why or how. So solely based on the information that Nathan had for the job he was supposed to be doing with the knowledge he was supposed to have, he should have been fired. And Clay himself even admitted that.
I think you should. I would have rather. I think it was very quick and rash. That like I'm not saying in the end result you choose to part ways. More probably because this is your friend and maybe you shouldn't be mixing that sort of relationship.
Ooh, yeah, you shouldn't.
Granted, I think he is his friend because he was his agent. So like I think that's how it came about. But like the fact that you like literally like. I mean, he made this mistake, this happened, and like you're so quick, you're fired. Like we didn't even have a discussion. Nathan, in my opinion, I think he came off as a major jerk in that storyline.
He did.
Oh, I didn't think so.
I just think he came down too strong, too quickly, and Haley came off even.
Oh,
more.
Haley.
Haley's the one who
Her and Quinn
irritated me
both.
during this whole thing.
I actually wasn't mad at Quinn.
I wasn't
in
mad
his
at Quinn.
storyline.
I wasn't mad at Quinn about it. I feel like Quinn was
wasn't.
trying to defend.
It wasn't her
Clay.
place or her business.
Well, but they kind of made it her. They also allowed her to be inserted in this because they used part of the reason they fired. She was part of their reason. So therefore, that now inserts her into this business, and I think she gets an opinion on it because of that.
Yeah, I think that I do think it was a mess right there. I think that it was insane that Nathan thought he could dictate to Clay that you can't date my sister. That seemed insane to me.
We're both adults.
That
so
was
he can do what he
dumb.
wants. Yeah.
It's how you meet people. Of course, maybe if we're going to say, well, you shouldn't have hired him because he's a friend, we could also say, well, he didn't want her to be with him because he was also his friend and knew how many girls he slept around with. So, that goes both ways. So I can get why maybe he was trying to protect Quinn, but still it felt like to have that a stipulation is insane to his job. I do think that when he went in there, because he went in there incredibly upset that he didn't know what was happening when news
Mhm,
stations across the country already knew what was happening. So Clay should have known. It's a draft, or it was a draft year. It was right around the draft, and it was time when contracts were being renewed and
Yeah,
renegotiated.
contract year. Yeah.
Clay should have known. There are
And
avenues
he
that
did
agents
it,
have.
dropping the ball. He dropped the
I
ball.
know. But I think that's why Nathan fired him. I think that he shouldn't have done it the way he did it. I'll give you that, because it was when he saw Clay that he was like, you're done. Or Quinn. He was like, you're done. He shouldn't have done it because he saw Quinn. He should have done it for the other reasons.
Yeah.
But it was Quinn that set him off. So I agree. That was a bad thing. What bugged me about Quinn was when she went in there, she's like, you can't fire him. It's not fair. You don't know all the reasons why he fired him. And he's essentially Clay's boss. So if she were to go in there and say, you can't fire him because of me, that'd be different. But that's not what she started off saying. She was saying, you're a coward for not answering these reporters, and then you fire him. No, he already said his piece to the reporters. He's not being a coward by not answering the phone call. That's not what's happening here. And for you to come at him because he fired someone who you've known for all of 2 minutes, it's not your business.
Mm-hmm.
It just, the whole thing Nathan's reaction felt very un-Nathan-like.
It did.
And I think that's where my issue was. Like, I mean, whereas
agree with
Nathan's
that.
the same person that's telling Mouth, like, man, do what you got to do. It's for your, like, they just feel, because that friendship was more valuable to him than like what Mouth doing would have hurt him. It felt very, like, I don't know. It felt un-Nathan-like. And I think that's where my issue. Haley, it felt Haley-like, because that's just how she is.
To me, it's the same thing as like Brooke and Millie.
Yeah.
Brooke didn't fire Millie forever because they had a friendship. They had a bond.
Yeah,
Same
I mean,
thing as
regardless.
Nathan and Clay had.
But we agreed that she should have fired Millie, though.
Well, now
She
I
should
agree
have.
that she should have treated her and Rachel the same. So you got to pick a side. I guess you shouldn't be mixing, like, the fact that Clay, now granted, maybe your best friend shouldn't be your agent, but the reality is that he is. And so therefore, in my opinion, you do have to treat it differently, because now personal relationships are involved, whether they should be or not, they are. And so I think for that reason, he deserved just a little bit of, like, extra tolerance there.
Yeah, I mean, it all ended well though. Clay
Yeah.
came back, got him his job, and made it all well. So
Yeah,
he came through. He came through at least at the end.
he
I
did.
do. I think that what I will agree with, because even Clay said I was too aggressive and cocky with your contract, which he was.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was.
He was.
And
And
that's
he admitted
so,
it.
I do think he should have been fired. I think Nathan overdid it, and I agree with you that it was very unnathan, like, especially afterwards. That's when I had a problem with Nathan, was after he was fired. Then when Nathan treated him, when the agency came to talk to him,
Yeah.
Nathan,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Like,
And the looks on Haley's face when Clay came over, like, what is your problem here?
yeah, this guy made one mistake, and it wasn't even like, it was a mistake of him, like, doing too much was his mistake. So I feel like
He got too cocky.
if he had had the conversation with Clay, at least let Clay just had the conversation and still ended with firing him, I think I would have been more okay. But it was just this very the way he came at Clay bothered me, I think. And I think that's where my issue was. I think had you sat down and had the conversation with Clay and still decided, you know what, man, you were wrong here and it's cost me something, I think it's best for our friendship if we part ways professionally. Then I could have respected that decision, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
I
opinion.
get that.
I think we're all. I agree with that. I think he should have been fired, but it should have been handled differently.
Yeah.
Oh, way differently. Yes.
Yeah.
But I do like that out of this, Clay found what his calling was, because the way his bosses treated him, I thought was really. Now I agree that he should have been fired by Nathan based on his performance alone.
Mm-hmm.
But the way his bosses were with him, this stuff happens, and some of this was out of his control. I don't think he should have been fired by the firm for this.
Yeah.
So I felt like him branching out on his own was the best thing for Clay.
And also the way they fired him in a client's house in front of every.
This
was
so
tacky.
wrong. Yeah,
it was
that
gross.
was awful.
Yeah.
Of course, we did get Crazy Katie from this storyline. I was so okay. So
Were you confused?
when you guys said Sarah Katie, I'm like, wait, what? So then I thought she must have a twin sister who's going to come and pretend to be Sarah. I bet that's what happens. And then that was before I found out Sarah actually died. Sarah was his wife.
Yeah.
And so when I found out that she was actually dead, like, oh, I was right. I was not right. I was wrong.
I mean,
by
it
the
was
way, how awful
good
was her
guess.
death?
Imagine.
Oh,
I cry every time, and I didn't even know the woman.
Just
Yeah,
because it's
that was
sad
awful.
the way it
Just
happens. Like
them
just
dancing and just go boom.
drop
Just
dead.
like
She's getting some Kool-Aid, and like all of a sudden just
ugh,
there you go.
that was horrible.
I will say the guy who plays Clay, fantastic acting, because every time he
Robert.
made a sad voice, I was like, I want to cry. This is
He's
awful.
pretty
Don't be
awesome,
sad.
actually.
Don't stop being
Robert
sad,
Buckley.
please. What's his
Yes.
name?
Robert Buckley.
He's
He's
in
great.
some Christmas movies with Hillary
is he?
too.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll have to
He
watch
does
some of
Hallmark.
those.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Who does
Most One Tree Hill actors do.
I mean, One Tree Hill like has the quarter on like
Yeah.
Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies. Like,
So we didn't mention either that the other crazy person, the reason that Nathan lost his contract was Renee, who confessed that she was pregnant with his baby.
Stupid.
And
Woohoo,
that's
Dan
another
Scott.
yes, but that's another scene where Haley made me mad. Like he said, you have when he's like, I didn't do it. Like I get her jealousy, but it was this things that she was mad about were like, why are you mad about that? When he said, Haley, I didn't do anything, and she said, there's a picture of you with your arm around her. He's a celebrity. That's a dumb thing to get mad at. I would choose to get mad at the fact that he was at a party raging with all these girls and everybody's getting drunk. Not that there's a picture with his arm around her. Like she's getting mad at all the wrong things.
I think she's mad and she's just anything's coming out of her mouth.
I agree because I complain about Haley and her like attitude all the time, but like I said, I think to you all in one of our groups, she is very realistic in the jealous woman because I have to admit, if some lady came out and said that they were having my husband's love child, like I might react really negatively, even to him, who the man has never once looked at another woman but I think I still would probably like act really weird.
Probably.
It's very realistic, I think.
Well, I think one of my biggest issues with Haley, and it's what Janetta said before, that even after she found out that these were false, and even after that whole thing with Nanny Carey, she didn't apologize for how wrong she was. She never does.
She never does. You gotta own your crazy.
Awful. Exactly. You made him feel awful, and you told him over and over again how little you believe in him. You kicked him out of the house, for goodness sake, and then told his son it was his decision. And then you never apologized. Even with this Renee thing, Clay was the one who was at the party. Granted, they were both drunk, but Clay said no, nothing happened. Nathan said no, nothing happened. And then she's like, well, I'm going to pay her. And then when she came out and said, I'm not asking your permission, I'm telling you I'm doing it. Like, oh, yikes.
I feel like that's something I could see myself saying. If
I could do that.
See, I never blamed Haley for doing that. I felt like it was her way of just.
Because this one, I was less mad at Haley on this one than I was the Nanny Carey one, because I feel like
I'd agree with that.
With this one, she tried to hold strong and she tried to be like, I'm standing by my man, but everything just kept piling to the point that me as the viewer, I remember watching this first time like, Nathan would never, he would never, right? No, he would never. And then it just kept going. I'm like,
well, did he like how drunk was he? Like maybe he doesn't remember.
I know. I remember being so stressed out, like, oh my God, please tell me Nathan didn't actually do this, because I think I remember having the conversation with David as we were watching. I'm like, he wouldn't, right? This isn't. No, it wasn't. And I would argue with myself, trying to convince myself, because the evidence was just piling on and on and on. And it's like, oh my gosh, don't do this to Nate Scott for me. So
I think
but they didn't.
For me, what I would have rather seen, and again, this is probably realistic of how someone would react. I wasn't even mad. Like, I get that she lost her hopefulness when she called Renee and it was Renee's phone. Like that would have been the moment I was like, this does not look good. But it was the way she told Nathan, I'm doing this. And it wasn't going to help the situation. It was going to hurt. So it was almost like, are you doing this because you think it's going to hurt him? Or are you doing it because you think it's going to help? Because it's only going to hurt at this point. The other thing that bugged me about the storyline is that she was like, when you see what's in the folder, you'll see I was different. I have proof. It's an ultrasound of a baby.
I know, like,
is that all we need for proof? We just need a random.
Let me Google real fast and print something out.
I'm gonna need you to do like an amnio and get a DNA sample, and then we'll talk.
That's okay.
And that's what I wanted to have happen.
Storyline makes me extremely mad. How did he get kicked out of the NBA so fast when nothing was proven?
You see that today,
was
though.
proven.
It happens all the time today. all the time.
How is that
People-
Celebrities are getting canceled and fired and everything. All
With
it needs
no
is an
proof.
allegation. Look at
No
Johnny
proof.
Depp. He lost every single job he had because Amber
Yep.
Heard put an allegation out there. He's a wife abuser. He lost everything.
Oh, it's true.
Several people in the both sports, and this has been happening a lot. It's just worse now than it was then, but it did happen then. It only needed, that's why he was so worried about the allegation. That's all it needed was just that, just a spark. And they will distance themselves from you so fast. You'll lose I thought that was realistic because I've seen that happen. And it's just way worse now than it was then, but it always happened. But I think for me, what I wanted to see was Haley say, listen, I don't know if I believe you or not. I don't know if I can trust you or not, but we're going to wait and we're going to see when the proof comes out because the proof is coming out. And that's when, I don't know if it was Dan or Rachel, but one of them said, you're either telling the truth, but no matter what, once that baby comes out, the truth will be known one way or the other.
Mhm.
There was more to it than that. And then someone else said, well, why would you lie about this when you know the truth is coming out? It was like, I don't remember who said that, but somebody said that to her. I don't see why you would lie. I think it was Rachel because that's why she was convincing her to be on the show.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would lie because the truth is going to be found out once you have that kid.
Mhm.
So I think I wanted to see Haley more in the corner of, I don't know if I believe you or not. I think the evidence shows that you probably did do this. And so I'm going to distance I'm going to be upset. I'm going to distance, but I need proof. That's what I wanted to see.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
The last thing with Naley is her mom. That was a really sad thing. Her mom dying of cancer. That was awful. It was sad.
I've already touched on it, but yeah.
But what I want to talk is Haley's depression because I had an issue with it.
Oh God, I hate that storyline too.
That always bothered me.
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it can be a little realistic too. That I mean, it just came on so quickly and like
it seemed not realistic though. It seemed like I understand like having depression. Obviously, anytime you lose somebody important in your life, really one of your parents.
It was her cruelty.
She was too cruel. Like that's not mourning your mother getting mean. Like that's
exactly.
It seemed
the
not
the
well
one
written.
part like is everything with Jamie. Like the part where he knocks over the soup, that part not so much because
that was realistic.
That was realistic. I don't know how many times I've probably talked to my kids in a way I shouldn't because I'm
especially because it was her mom's recipe for her dumplings.
You won a gold star.
That one was like, nope, this isn't depression. This is just you being mean.
Yeah, you're just being mean. You took it too far.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And she did that a lot from that moment on.
did.
And that was like, come on, this is not depression. You're changing this character completely. This is more than depression. She's being cruel. And to her kid, her depression, I don't think it would take her from being the best mom to her kid to I can't stand the sight of you. Get away from me.
Yeah. It never made sense to me. I can never stand that.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I agree.
The distance, totally understand. You're distancing yourself from your husband, your kid, everybody. I totally get that. That makes sense. That's justifiable. But coming out and saying really cruel, awful things to people just because
your kid.
That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Skills and Lauren was weird.
Really?
No, but here you go. I mean, the end of it. The end of it was weird.
Oh, okay.
Where he's like Skills and Lauren.
It never really felt settled.
Have chemistry.
I like her next relationship actually the most.
With David?
No.
Doesn't she get married to David?
Well, they're married in real life, so.
But she gets married to him on the show.
I think is that what happened? I can't remember.
She gets pregnant by him.
Yeah.
I may have read ahead a little bit.
But that's not who I'm talking about though.
Stop it.
Well, that's the one I know, so I guess I'm in for a surprise.
Yeah, well,
who does she date after Skills?
I don't like that either.
Oh, see, I knew it wasn't ever anything serious, so I
think
liked it.
That was better. That was better suited, but because of the way it happens, no. Like
no. I just liked the
like I wish we went there before we went her and Skills because then I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like
yes. No, I agree with you there.
Kind of hoping it's Dan now.
What?
Oh God, no, it's not Dan.
I think what I didn't like about the end of this is that Skills was like, okay, I'm gonna go to California. I love you. You know this means I love. But then, like when she would come over to visit Mouth, first of all, that's weird. Why are you going to hang out with Mouth? You never really hung out with Mouth before. Now that Skills is gone, you're gonna go hang out with Mouth now. That's weird. Yeah. But also, Mouth was like, well, don't you talk to Skills? Well, sometimes we just miss each other a lot. So then they never actually said we broke up. We didn't break up. But then when her and Mouth kissed and Skills appeared, it was very clear that they did broke up and that they in fact never talked. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
None of your writing in this situation with this relationship makes sense.
Unfortunately,
See,
Miss
that's who I like
Lauren-
her with. I like her and Mouth's chemistry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Her and Mouth make more sense.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
But not because of the Skills relationships.
See, I couldn't remember if she had kissed Mouth yet or
if
not.
her
She didn't
and
want to say anything.
Skills had never gotten together, like if her and Mouth got together
Mm.
first,
Yes.
I'm all for it because I think they make more sense in their personalities.
Agreed.
But
No, I
think
never wanted her
maybe-
and Mouth to like stay together. I really did like them together though. I like their chemistry. I really did love. I thought that they would actually be a really good couple.
I agree with that.
No,
They
I just
would.
think they did it all wrong.
Yep.
Just wasn't done right.
I agree.
Good
I
potential
agree.
though.
But Miss Lauren, in general, in my opinion, is just a character that I don't feel is unnecessary.
I mean, the one line that she delivered that I really liked and I really thought, wow, this is very good of you is when Antoine, she came over to make up with Antoine. And first of all, Junk was like, Skills, round 2. So and then when Mouth came over there, Fergie and Junk just stood up and walked into a different room. I think Junk said laundry and Fergie said, what did he say? Library or something like that. And if you notice when he walked out, he didn't have shoes on. Like,
Oh, I
that's
didn't know
amazing.
that's funny.
but he when she went over there and he said, so you're really going to choose him? And she said, it's not like that. We were broken up, but this version of you is not helping your case.
Yeah.
That made sense. So that's what I liked. So that was just a weird. And I honestly, I think it's the writing was bad there. Nothing was made clear. It was all very murky from beginning to end. Like they were trying to keep you in suspense, but it didn't, just ruined it. So that was weird. I think the other thing we forgot to talk about with Clay and Quinn is Taylor coming home with David was just disgusting.
Weird.
And I didn't hate Taylor until that episode.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, you're useless. Just go, get out of here. That's it.
Ugh.
But she redeemed herself with the mom storyline, I think.
Yeah,
And David
agree.
leaving. That was weird. The last thing we have to start. Oh, one thing before the last thing
Okay.
is I have to say it because it happened in the last episode. Mia and Chase breaking up by text messages. It was Mia who broke up with him. And then he's finally like, Alex, hey. And Alex gave him a shot, or he gave Alex a shot. And then Mia texts him and says, we made a mistake. I'm sorry, we?
Yeah, not we.
You broke up with him, Mia. And now you expect him to come back to you because you realize that you made a mistake, but you're blaming him for that mistake. And on a whim, I miss us. So let's get back together. Even though a second ago I broke up with you because we're apart too much.
And I am all for, like, I mean, him and
I like
Alex.
Chase and Alex.
Like, I'm obsessed with them as a couple. Like,
Does that stay?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I think it fits better.
I won't get into details of yes.
I don't want details, but I like them
I'll
better
just
than
say
I
yes
did
for
him
now.
and Mia.
No,
Mia
I
always
like-
seemed
I
out of
like-
place.
That's actually only when I started liking Alex is with Chase. And then I was like,
Because he's
okay, now I
normal and
like
down to earth.
He grounded her.
I just love how Alex, man, she cracks me up because I love how she starts out making Millie do it and then she makes Chase do it. How she'll like make him take her shots for lunch, and then she takes the line. Like I don't know, it's just a funny little quirky thing about her that I just think is so funny because she's she's being good, she's staying sober, but she's just enjoying like
She
it's
did
like me-
switch to lime or to lemons though in that last episode.
Oh, that's true.
It was a yellow rind.
After I've quit smoking, it's like, I understand that most people think cigarette smoke stinks, but sometimes I crave it and I don't mind to just be like, I wish I could have one. but
See,
I'm
it
not
was like
going
that for me for a
to.
while. Now I can't stand the smell of it.
Same.
I'll get there eventually
I'm like,
again, but
"Ugh."
every once in a while, I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to stand here in the smoking section and just pretend like it's me.
I did.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked about Chase was his mixed drinks. How he's notoriously making the
The
bad ones.
brain, what was
The
it called?
chaser.
Brain chase or whatever it was.
It was the scene specifically when Julian and Clay and then who it must have been Quinn who came up. Yeah, because when Quinn met
blue
them at
one?
the bar. The blue one, yeah. And Julian was like, oh, Clay was like, that looks good. And Julian's like, yeah, have it. It's delicious. And then they convinced Quinn to do it.
She's like, that's amazing.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So speaking of Julian, last thing we got to talk about was Brillian.
Yay.
Did I forget something else? That's the
Yeah.
last thing, isn't it?
I think that's it. Most
Okay.
important thing anyway, so we're good.
The Julian Alex triangle. You both side. I'm believing
'cause
for
we don't wanna
completely
fight
different
with each
Because we
reasons.
other.
know we're about to have to get in a fight because
Yeah.
it's not right.
Okay, so
Julian
You guys take the
not
lead, and I'll
right.
speak
Okay.
truth unbiasedly.
So here's what I want to. So Amanda, can we take it like thing by thing, like really
Sure.
quickly? Obviously.
Sure.
Okay. So like initially, help me out, Maureen. Like, okay. So initially, like, with
I'm going to speak unbiased truth here.
Stop it. Okay. So just when they first start hanging out, okay,
Mhm.
because when they first start hanging out, and she decide, and that first time they get together, she gets naked in front of him. Okay. He immediately walks out of there and he's like, nope, we're not doing
Alex.
this.
Okay,
I
Alex,
thought
talking
you
about
were
Alex.
serious about this. Like,
Mhm.
cool. I admit he should have told Brooke
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
And then he should have not
Absolutely.
worked with her anymore.
And I don't think he was necessarily going to. I think he had called it quits on that.
Did.
Yes.
He did. And I
It was
don't
Brooke
agree him
who
ever.
changed that.
I know, but I feel like that was
And
a
why
horrible wrong decision.
But why shouldn't he? Because this is his job and he's found a good script that he could actually turn into something. I don't know why he would give that up just because some girl has a crush on him. He's not into her. There's no chance of anything happening. Like, he's not.
I don't agree with that. I think he loved Alex flirting with him.
I don't
he
know that he
liked it.
loved her flirting with him.
I do. I think he
If he
liked it.
loved her flirting with him, why wouldn't he have just stuck around and, like, when she got naked? I mean, he immediately left and called it quits right then and there.
I don't think he liked it
For a
until
minute.
he was saving her. I
He
think at
li-
first
yeah.
he did not like it.
I agree
I
with
don't
that.
think I don't think he
And I mean,
welcomed it. I don't
Brooke
think he
makes that point. You have to save somebody. You saved me. He is a saver. That's how. I mean, this score is bugging me now.
But he also did it with Sam. And he
With
had no
Sam?
romantic interest in Sam.
But he's a saver. So I mean, and
But
but
what's
with a
wrong with
girl
that?
who's already texting him, "I love you,"
That was a
and
problem.
then like all this little stuff that she's doing, and he just continuously goes back to her. Like, it's
But he's
the whole thing's
ignoring.
unhealthy to me.
But
He
I
should
feel like
have
he's
put a wall down between them.
here's like, I would have had an issue if he was engaging with the flirtation, or if he wasn't at every single turn. He is reassuring Brooke, it's you I love, it's you I want to be with. I have no interest
Why
in
does he have to
other
say it
than
so much? He
professional.
shouldn't have to say it so much.
Because
Because
Brooke is
Brooke has an
making
issue.
him.
I would have an issue too. I would have never been with him ever. No, that would have been done. Relationship would have been over.
I don't,
No, that's not.
then I don't
That's
think you
not
can.
something.
Then I don't think you can work with then you can date someone. He is in the entertainment industry, which Brooke is in a similar industry. You are
Mhm.
going to be working with lots of pretty people, okay?
But
Actors,
Brooke's
models,
telling
like,
him that she's uncomfortable with it.
and he is reassuring her every step of the way. He is even going out of his way they are working in their apartment in, like, locations to where he cannot be caught doing something he should not be doing. He is doing everything possible to make her comfortable, other than he's supposed to just, I mean, this is his job, so he's supposed to just quit the job that he's doing here just to make her happy? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I think if the situations were
If
reversed,
he was serious and
if
wanted
the
to be with Brooke,
if the situation was reversed and Brooke was working with some hot model and he was like, no, I don't want you working with him, he's
She
too
would not.
attractive and he likes you, we would all be mad, because why should she have to give up her job just because her man is feeling insecure?
see, I wouldn't.
I would. I think
as
we
soon
would.
as she sent that text, I was always wishy-washy until she sent the text, "I love you," and he went over there instead. Like, not instead. He went over there. Even with the bathtub scene. I hate that scene. I wish they would take it out. But I mean, they take it out of everything else.
Do you think he shouldn't have gone over there then when she said she
No.
was going to kill herself?
No, I don't. I think he
So we
should have
want
called the
Alex-
authorities and had them go over there.
So if Alex had died and he didn't, because he didn't go over there, you think that like, there's no way I could live with that.
I could live with it every day perfectly fine. I would call the authorities. They would have been there faster than me.
No.
Yes, they would have. They would have been
Well,
there faster than me.
I don't know. All I'm
someone said
saying-
this girl is trying to kill herself in the hotel manager would have been up there sooner than Julian would have been there. Anybody could have been there sooner than him, but no, it had to be him picking this naked girl up out of the bathtub and saving her again when it's not his job or spot.
But by this time, they've also worked on this script together, so he also cares for her. Not in a romantic way, but he's in a town where he has no friends. This is the first person he's been working with her day in and out. They've developed a friendship. I think he
An
cares for her by this
inappropriate
point.
one.
But why is it inappropriate?
Because she's obsessed with him and in love with him. It is an inappropriate friendship.
It's very.
However, I don't think Julian is at fault for it. I do think he does have faults where he should draw a harder line. I think, first of all, with the naked thing, he did leave. He did stop working with her. And he told Brooke, no, she's not serious. And somehow Brooke knew because she went over there to scream at her and say, you just threw your body at him. She did say that line too. So she was aware that she had crossed that line with her body. Whether or not she knew it was naked, she knew that was a thing. So though Julie didn't say that, he did let her know somehow that this was the issue. And Brooke made it so that she altered enough and encouraged Julian to go back and work with her. So because Brooke said, yes, go do this, he went and did it. However, I do agree that he did start having it at their house. So Brooke could be a part of it. She could see it. She could be random pop-ins, whatever. There's nothing. I always thought it was weird and wrong that they were doing the work in her hotel room. That doesn't paint a good picture. I always thought that was, you should not be doing that. That's not the right place to be doing this when you know this girl has feelings for you.
Yeah.
I think that with the suicide thing, I think he was going over there to apologize, where I think, remind me, was it the night that she called him and said, I need you? That's what it was. When it was Haley's free concert, right? And Julie was like, I have plans with Brooke tonight. I can't be a part of what you're doing here. And she called him and said, I need you. I think that was handled poorly. I think that, I don't know that maybe he probably should have called the authorities, but what were they? She wasn't trying to commit suicide at that point. It was just, I might do drugs. So, I mean, they wouldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
I think that he didn't make a big enough effort to go find Brooke. He should have, even if Brooke didn't go with him, he should have given Brooke the option of, hey, listen, she called me. She's about to do drugs. I need you to know, and I'm asking you to come with me. He wanted to do that.
That would have been perfectly fine with me.
Exactly. And then if Brooke didn't go, that's on Brooke. She didn't go.
That would have changed my mind.
But he didn't do that. And I thought that was a problem, because what he did is see this trauma bond that he was aware was there. He made it even harder to break by showing up for her again and again by himself, giving himself to her, knowing that the moment I call you, even if you're supposed to be with Brooke, you're going to come for me. He taught Alex
She's sick and she needs somebody.
Yes. And then
Julian saving her.
Remember the situation with the killing herself, because she left a voicemail.
She left a voicemail for him.
But did he wasn't going over there for that, I didn't think. Was he going over there? Oh, he went over there to say, we have our movie. So he actually didn't go over there because she sent him a call for help. He said he went over there because he was telling her the movie got picked up. And it happened to be him and his dad. Yeah, that's why he went over there.
Actually, that's true. Yeah.
So I don't think he did anything wrong there again. And so because he did, I don't like that he has a key to her room and just walks in there whenever, though. That's weird.
I'm not shocked.
But that's a problem, I think. So I think that he went over there to tell her good news and found her in the bathtub. His response was the only response to have, in my opinion.
No, his response to seeing that is, I did not have a problem with that, because if you see somebody like that in the bathtub, yes, pick him up, try to save him. That never bothered me. I just felt like it was a very inappropriate relationship to keep going and going and going and going, because she needed mental help and not working on a movie. She should have not been working on this movie. She should have been.
I think she could have been doing both, help, but help needed to be there. But I think she could have done both. And I think that they should have been more out in the open as opposed to in a tiny room closed off.
Yes. But I like Alex later on, and I like Julian. I hated this storyline between the two of them.
I think we have to because I said I can agree with that. I think Julian, I don't think anything was necessarily his fault. I think he could have done better in his managing of the situation. I think I said that early on when we were talking about the whole Nathan, like how I said you'll see Julian also maybe handle situations incorrectly, but still never, in my opinion, do anything wrong in their relationships. Just maybe not navigate the cards in front of them correctly. You know what I mean? Like, because I think Nathan we could say the same about him. Sometimes he didn't navigate things correctly. Like, even like if I'm looking at this, okay, let's just a tiny little, because you mentioned this earlier, Maureen. I have a bigger issue with when we're talking about Nathan and Renee at the fact that the married man was getting pass out drunk with a bunch of people
Yeah.
than I am anything that Julian ever did.
Haley says it. She's like, you know, he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I should have
Yeah.
never put myself in that position. But,
Yeah.
and she says, you know, you're young. We're young.
I had a problem with that too, because actually what she said is, I get it. You got married when you were 19. You never got to party with your friends. I'm sorry. Did you remember who he was in high school?
He partied quite a bit.
I think he had enough. So that line bugged me.
That kind of, yeah, I totally get you there.
But I see,
I mean,
because he's married. That's the difference. Is he has a son, he has a wife. That's the
man.
difference. Even if he is young,
but
he's got
still allowed to. I mean, and now,
but he's putting
don't get
himself
to
in situations where he
was
can
it like
get
that
accused
every
of this.
weekend, or was
Yes,
this like a
with Clay.
one-time?
No, with Clay, they said it
Sounds
was.
like he did it quite a bit. Maybe
That's
not.
what he and Clay said.
Maybe not to the
frequent.
extent that this one particular party ended up. I mean, maybe
they
not,
said it was a
but-
common thing
Well,
when he was on the road. It was a common thing.
but all
Yeah.
I'm saying is,
I mean-
I think Brooke has to take fault in the situation as well, and I think we have to call it
Yes.
out like it is. Brooke took her own trauma and projected it into the relationship with Julian. Julian was not Lucas. He has never been Lucas. Not one time has he ever treated her anything like Lucas treated her.
Yes, but
So
she
I-
has trauma
And
and
she does. But I think that's
problems,
on
and that's something
her.
that's going to keep coming up. Keep coming.
Yeah,
And-
but
and
that's you
every-
can't fault Julian for that though, especially if she's not telling Julian, "Hey, this is why I had these
Well,
issues. This
and
is where it stems from."
Even when Julian, every time she did tell him, he came right back with the exact right word. He reassured her every single time with no
Yeah.
faltering. Like he would, Brooke, I love you.
There
I
was
wanna
one time
be
she
with
said,
you.
"I just want to know that you want me." He
He-
gave up a movie. He moved to Tree
Clearly.
Hill. He was there for you. And I get that is her trauma
Yeah.
speaking. It's not not
Yes.
rational. I get that. I totally get that. But she still has to take ownership of that. Where I did have a problem with Julian's behavior, and this is the trauma bond that happened. This girl tried to commit suicide. And the very first thing you say to her when she wakes up is, "I'll be right here. I'm not going anywhere. I will always be right here."
Yeah.
And I
She
think
did, but no, that's a problem though, because what she said to him is, or she said, the reason I did this is because you said you didn't want me. So he's telling her, "I want you. I want you." That might not be what he's
Yeah.
saying, but that is what it's saying to her. And because he is well versed in this, starting with his mother, he should know better. And then when he grabbed her hand, cementing that physical relationship with her, that spoke an entirely different message to Alex than what Julian was trying to convey. Granted, it's Alex's reception of it, but Julian should have known this girl just tried to commit suicide because I told her I didn't want her. So I'm going to tell her I want her. I want to be with her. That's what that's saying. So I did have a problem with that. That's what Brooke saw. But Brooke took it to a whole new wrong level when she was like, "I saw, this is what you did. This is," no, it's not. It's not what he meant though. It's not what he was doing. And so I think that after that, Brooke took it to a bad level. It was
and
not
really,
okay.
I mean, I don't know, just the way she treated him after that really bothered me, because it's like
It's her trauma coming out, but still, it's
I mean,
not okay.
I get it. And I was proud of him for finally standing up and being like, "Brooke, look, I've
Yes.
said a million times, like at that point, like he's done everything he possibly can do to make this right, and that's on you if you can't accept it."
Well, the other thing too that where I do think you went wrong, and I think Amanda would agree with me, is telling Alex personal information about Brooke when you know how Brooke feels about this
I
girl.
agree with
What
that.
are you doing?
Gosh,
I
that part,
she looks possessed.
I wanted to punch Alex in the face
Yes.
so hard.
And on that one, I totally am on board. Like he was wrong.
That's T Brooke right there.
Was
Like,
wrong there. I also
Alex
think,
was
though,
trying to poke that bear.
I think it was, but he immediately even realized. He said, "Oh, don't say anything.
Too
I
little, too
shouldn't have
late.
said that."
Should have
Well,
thought
and
about it
I
before.
agree, but I mean, like we're giving everybody else's passes on mistakes, so I feel like we got to give him passes every once in a while as
I
well.
don't think it's not a pass for him. I think that we need to recognize, dude, that was
Yeah,
not
no, I
okay.
think that was
and I
not
think
okay.
he did, but I think that he should have also told Brooke then he shouldn't have waited. He
He
should have known that Alex was going to go do something
Yes.
awful with it.
He should have told Brooke, because I also don't thought. I think we also no one talks about either. Like, yes, I know Brooke was told she couldn't have children, but him as the man who is planning to spend the rest of his life with her, he has now also been told he can never have children. And
Yeah.
he's allowed to have feelings about that. And he's allowed.
Okay, but did he?
What do you mean, did
Is
he?
there is there any other way you can have children?
Yeah, but he and Brooke wanted. I get his. He and Brooke
Like, I
wanted to
get-
have that, and he was saying,
like,
"I didn't
I
realize I
get-
wanted
But
him until
why
Brooke told me I
him
can't."
tell Alex that?
Oh, I agree.
He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. But at the same, like, and I'm not defending it, so I'm explaining it, I guess.
Yeah.
She is also at this moment in time the only friend he has in Tree Hill. The only one.
That's inappropriate.
That's only his fault.
I'm not saying that it's
That's only
like,
his fault though.
he recognizes that he's wrong. He says it. I should not have done that. Please don't say anything.
But he goes further though, and this is where I think, dude, because he says he does recognize it. You're right. He recognizes it right away and said, I shouldn't have said that. But then he goes on
And he
to
should have
confess
told
his
Brooke.
own. He goes on to confess his own
Yes.
personal feelings about this to Alex, who he knows is a little obsessed with him at this point.
Yes.
So if you know she has this obsession with you, you should not be confiding very personal
think
things
he's
about yourself to
completely
her.
Naive to how much this
I don't
obsession
think
really
we
goes.
can't say that because he's even when
Thanks.
Brooke points out to him, he's like, well, yeah, it started with my mom. So he's been doing this for years and he knows it. Where I think that he should be given grace, where he's not given grace, is Brooke says, you just want to save her. He's like, well, if I can before her light goes out, I would like to help her do
Yeah.
that, which I think is justifiable. But I
I
think
wanna
he should have
save
involved
people
Brooke
too.
more. I think he should have involved Brooke more. I think Brooke should
Yeah.
have come along. He should have invited Brooke alongside him more. Because saying to Brooke, I love you, you're the one for me. Yeah, it's the right things to say. But when you say that to her and then you go to this girl who she doesn't trust, who
Yeah.
you know has an obsession with you, that's in Brooke's trauma, it's computing the wrong message.
The
And
thing is,
granted, that's Brooke's trauma, but still.
I don't think Brooke would have, even if he had tried to.
She
involve
might not
her.
have, but that's my point, is because then it puts it on Brooke. Well, listen, I wanted you to put on this. You didn't want it.
And I feel like I need to say this to our listeners. I am Brooke Davis's #1 fan.
She is.
So by me, I would even say I like Brooke better than I do Julian. So I'm not in any way bashing Brooke. If I had to choose between the
do
two,
not
I
think
would
that's
choose
true.
Brooke Davis any day, every day.
If I
Just
put
in this situation,
Sophia Bush and Austin
I'm
right
choosing
next to
Sophia.
each other, you would run to Austin and you know
You're a
it.
liar, because I mean this is so, like,
No,
now,
I'm
okay,
tackling Sophia. You can go have your funny
I
smile
really
and
want
boy
Bo.
over there.
But like, no, like Sophia Bush is like, no, I love her. Okay. So
We're gonna fight for her.
My hope is that this is going to put Brooke into a light, because the can't have babies is really what sparked all this. And when she said, when she didn't even tell Brooke, or she didn't even tell Julian she couldn't have babies yet, she didn't say a word to him. She kept it to herself, which is something she
Mhm.
shouldn't have done, because it
Right.
does affect him. And
It
then when
does.
she said, I'm not mad about that, mad about something else. He's like, what? And then she's just so cavalierly said, I can't have babies. Like, he's
It's tough. Yeah.
gonna have a
She was
and then
crying and everything. I mean, she was upset.
yeah,
no,
but she was telling him, she was making him believe it was for something else. And then she blindsided him with this and was punishing him for the fact that she couldn't have babies. Although, of course, we could say she wasn't punishing him. She was pushing him away because she realized
Yeah.
bad
But
news about herself.
they weren't engaged. They weren't married.
No, I get that.
I mean, there was no commitment. I didn't think she owed him anything as of yet. Now,
I
if they
think the
were
way
engaged,
that One Tree Hill
or-
Land, she did. In the
Well, then if
average
she-
relationship in real
now,
life,
should she have?
yes.
Yes, but
then
in
if she
real
didn't-
life,
if she didn't owe him
her
anything
choice.
in that regard, then I'm not sure that he owes her anything in
accurate.
in the
well,
other
then
way.
they shouldn't be together.
Do you know what I mean? If we're gonna
But that's
say
the point, though,
that,
that they are,
that's-
since they are together, she did owe him that information, just like he
Yeah,
owed her
no.
respect with the relationship.
And
Yeah.
I think that in One Tree Hill world, she should have told him.
Yeah.
But in the
Because
real world,
relationships move much faster there.
I don't think she also even. I mean,
well, they're
Brooke
living
likes to
the
deal
girl,
with her own
maybe.
things. She likes to, when she's in pain, she likes to hide and she likes to pull back and she likes to deal with it
Yeah.
on her own because she thinks she has to.
Mhm.
She doesn't think that people will want her if she doesn't. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Well-
Which brings us to her relationship
Yeah.
with Victoria. By the end, when Victoria said, I'm going to miss you, I'm proud of you, and she starts crying,
Mhm.
and Brooke was like, they're called tears, mother.
This mascara is defective.
But
Mascara's defective.
she became a big proponent of Julian because she recognized
Mhm.
that Brooke was not dealing with her trauma, and Julian was really good for that aspect of her.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did. I always during the season, I always loved seeing Victoria having Brooke's back a lot.
Mhm.
Though, which
Yes.
Yeah.
that's something you don't get. Like when she turns the corner and sees Julian and Alex like
Mhm.
having a conversation, she just immediately mama beared.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first couple of times I watched One Tree Hill, it always made me mad. 'Cause I was like, what? Like, what gives you the right
Mhm.
to judge anybody in Brooke's life? I was like
Yeah.
that for a long time, but now I feel like older. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh,
She's being a mother finally.
She's showing. She's
Mhm.
finally doing that. But I do have to say, the first few times I watched the show, I never liked Victoria
No.
doing that because I didn't feel like
Oh.
she deserved
Oh, I did.
to be able to do that. Now I do.
I did like too how she had said, "I trust Julian, but Alex is going to try to break him down."
And she was right.
I think we've gone over likes and dislikes. Do you have anything else that you guys would like to say on the hottest topic of this episode?
I mean, I just want to can we just talk about like super fast, big news for next season, right? I mean, Julian and Brooke get engaged at the end of this. Like,
that's
how
right.
cute
Yeah, I
was,
forgot.
like the
His
little
movie
proposal.
premiere.
The Utah episode is one of my favorite episodes. Like, because I love
I
it
love the
when we're
Utah
all
episode.
together, just like, when we go like on that prom and like, Honey Grove. Like, I like it when the
Yeah.
whole cast is like
In location.
actually interacting in the same location together for the whole episode. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's just really, but
Skills is okay. Here's one thing I want to talk about the Utah. Skills is jacket, right?
I was
He
gonna
bought-
say what, his jacket.
He bought one in California.
uh
How did he end up with two of them by the end of that episode?
guess he got another one because a mouth stole
From
his.
where? It was the exact same jacket.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
They didn't even address that there was a second one there.
When
on.
Quinn has to walk because she lost her key, which is to walk. I don't know. That makes me laugh so hard because
I'm
both
gonna have
Mouth
to
and
go
Skills are
finish.
like,
Here's why I didn't like it though. I didn't like the lingerie untying it in the fireplace. I didn't like the bikini that was barely there. And here's why. Because I know all the stuff about the show producer that I have to
know.
think that's the only reason she was in it is because he liked it.
I'm
So for
sure.
me,
Oh,
it just felt for me,
absolutely.
but for me, it made everything about that just seem dirty and wrong and gross.
well, that's
Yeah.
true.
I haven't thought about it that way.
I mean, I don't enjoy that stuff anyway,
Yeah.
but it makes it seem so much more nefarious watching it back. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it just feels like, oh, come on, don't do
It's
that.
probably
Don't,
exactly.
don't subject these girls to this. It's wrong what you're doing here. And because there wasn't, you could have done it 1,000 different ways, but he chose to put her in almost nothing
Yeah.
multiple times in that one episode alone. And then when she's laying on the bed naked next to Clay and the FU thing, like, dude, why are you only like, it seems like Quinn's this new victim and it
Oh.
doesn't feel okay. Well, just to wrap this up,
But,
I
yeah.
do like the Utah episode. I do like the what Jamie says about his snow fort, where he's like, I like it in
Oh.
here. It's quiet. It's safe. And then Haley goes in there and Brooke goes in there. And she's like, you don't have to check me. I'm not. I need ice. Like it just
Mhm. Mhm.
watching Haley come. Oh, and then the owl thing. The owl on
Look
the
at
branch.
that. I don't like the owl thing.
The owl was creepy, but going off of what Quinn said,
I don't care.
it was like, okay. But
Y'all know I have a fear of birds, so like that, like
that's
there's
right, I
no way.
forgot about that.
If I was Joy, I would have refused it. Like I'll do.
She
it
got
basically
real
any
close to
other
the
scene.
owl,
I'm
and
not
owls
getting
are
close to it.
mean.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I mean, in
Or
her
any-
defense, she did run away from it.
I don't like even watching that scene. It actually creeps me out.
Well, I suppose if you have a fear of birds, that's not going to appeal
Because
to you.
owls are like the worst.
mean.
They're scary looking. They can turn their head the way around. It's super weird. I don't.
And they're mean.
Yeah, no, I don't
Owls
like
are not
either.
nice.
Gross.
All right, so what?
Gross, gross,
So
gross.
when we come back in season 8, we find out. Oh, Haley's also pregnant.
Yes.
That's a big one.
I forgot that was the end of 7.
Haley's pregnant.
Yay.
Brooke is engaged to Julian. Clay and Quinn are shot by Katie, who
Oh,
is
yeah.
somehow put in a psych ward but allowed to come out to shoot people. So
Yes. Only allowed to
Good.
come out to shoot people.
That was so stressful. I'll never forget the stress I felt.
it
that
was
summer.
stressful
No.
watching the smile on her face as she did it.
I was
Crazy Katie.
stressed all summer.
All right, so what grades did you guys give season 7?
A+. It's my favorite
A.
season.
Oh, it's your favorite all time of
Mhm.
all the seasons?
Mhm.
I'll give it an 8 because I like. I mean, it's one.
I mean, I like 8 a lot too. Like 7 and 8. Well, 6, 7, and 8 are all my favorites, but I think 7 is my.
I think this was probably the most realistic one so far. Probably the most in depth so far. I mean, there were some things that were bad writing that I didn't like, but I think I'm moving into the A territory. I think I'm going to give it an A-, maybe an A. Actually, I might give it an A depending on. I might change my grade. Right now it's A-, but if 8 and 9 are better, then or worse, then this will be bumped up to an A because it'll be the best
I
one.
think 8 is basically similar. Where did Eve? Remember Eve put her grade in here? We have to read it. She's on my side.
she did
Everything I
A.
say about Julian and Brooke, by the way, she said that in the thing.
She
so-
did. I'm split 50-50. Some of it I'm with you, some of it I'm with Amanda. So I think mine is the one that's correct because I'm unbiased. Still not loving Quinn and Clay, but maybe that'll change. And my grade for season 7 is an A. That is from Eve. All right, so
Yeah.
I think obviously this is the best season so far. I think it was probably the most, I don't want to say relatable because I don't think it was relatable. I don't think a lot of the show was relatable, but I think it was the most I've been invested in the show so far. I think the storylines were better. I think that there was more. I do think that they added some needless characters and some dumb storylines that didn't need to be there, and they tortured characters for no reason other than just to torture them. So I think for that reason it'll be an A- for me. I think that's all that we have for season 7. Unless you guys really want to duke it out some more. You good?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We do this every rewatch, I think. We always have an argument about Julian.
And
So-
we even had a pre-argument in the chat about this. So, I mean, we were
Mhm.
prepared tonight.
Mhm.
So, don't forget to turn into our Facebook group of One Tree Hill Scott Family Fan Club. Let us know what you think. What do you have a favorite season? Is season 7 it for your favorite season? And don't forget to check next year for the other Zoe. And again, next year will be tomorrow because tonight is New Year's Eve as you're listening to this. So happy New Year. I hope
Happy New
2024
Year.
is great for you. Check out our review of the other Zoe next week and also our last One Tree Hill review. And of course, reviews of the Bear, Suits, premieres, lots of stuff coming at you New Year. It's going to be a good 2024. And on that note, we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.